Hi, and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and all week long we have been talking economic development, which is a big deal. The governor proclaimed it Economic Development Week, which is really exciting for Colorado. But I have with me, and she's on with us once a month, we have Kristen Muzzy. She is the founder of Riveting Connections. She is a champion and advocate for manufacturing in Colorado and nationally, and Kristen leads the manufacturing vertical for the Colorado Business Roundtable. So welcome back, Kristen.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
And we have a great show today. We've got Paul Harter, who is the Vice Chair, founding member of Northern Colorado Manufacturing Partnership. He's also the owner and your chairman of AquaHot. Mm-hmm. And you've got numerous other board positions. I was going to read them all, but then I'm like,
yeah. Save yourself the time.
You're also a part-time.
I struggle saying no.
I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that. And we just had a discussion about that,
We did. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Just say no.
Right.
You know? But we asked you to do some things, too.
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
So you can say that. You can say that. So also a part-time instructor for Front Range Community College. A national speaker on, we're going to be talking about this, about manufacturing and aligning industry, what Colorado Business Roundtable does, right? It's about connecting and collaborating for economic development, for community growth and personal growth. So super excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. This is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. So we're going to talk about NOCO, which is Northern Colorado Manufacturing Partnership. And it's tremendous success. I mean, literally, when I travel across it, no, I mean this sincerely, because when I've traveled across the U.S. and just, working with manufacturers and different manufacturing associations, what I found so unique is right here in Northern Colorado is this collaborative effort that takes place with manufacturers. It's not just like a few manufacturers over here that are talking to workforce development or this community college, but you and the NOCO team have been able to bring all these manufacturers together with education and government, and you're actually collaborating. So would you give us a little overview, our audience, a little overview of what NOCO is and how it got founded, what the vision is, and where it's going? Sure.
We're getting ready to celebrate the end of our 5th year. So we have our 5th birthday party.
Happy anniversary. Happy birthday.
Right? Yeah, so September 2013, the whole thing kicked off with a meeting in Northern Colorado. They invited a group of manufacturers together and gave us the opportunity to talk about what was keeping us awake at night. And that was a pretty high-energy discussion.
I'll bet it was.
I think, like I said, there were 28 of us in the room, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And not surprising to me now, there was a lot of commonality in terms of what was keeping us awake. Clearly, we hear a lot about workforce issues, and that came up loud and clear. But then for our industry, there were other issues also, like supply chain. We didn't know each other. We didn't have networks. We weren't connected as a community. That became a really big theme. There were other issues around, personal property tax, transportation, et cetera, and those still remain issues to a greater or lesser extent with a lot of businesses. But the real focus became workforce and partnering with education, and then becoming a stronger manufacturing community and becoming more connected. So that's how we got started. And I love to tell people, 28 folks in the first meeting, there were 8 of us in the second meeting. Wow. 3 weeks later, only 8 people came back. But fortunately for us, it was the right 8 that were there with faith and passion. They said, we're going to do this. We're going to commit ourselves to something. We don't know how it's going to turn out. You can't calculate an ROI, but this sounds good. It feels good. Let's start working together. And we established that mantra right from the very beginning of, we're not here to conquer anything. We're not here to showboat. We're not here to be in charge. We're here to help.
Sure.
And make things happen.
Yeah.
And that was a big part.
I love the tagline.
Making things makes things happen. Actually, a good friend of mine, I'll credit that to Darren Pape from Wolf Robotics. He coined that.
Wolf Robotics is
awesome company.
Cool. Oh my gosh.
And we latched onto that, and that became what we were about. So it wasn't just to get together and commiserate and talk about all the world's ills and all the challenges and how the heck did we end up in such a crummy job as making things in the United States. It was actually this underlying energy that we have to do things, accomplish things, make things happen. And I think that's why we're so successful today. We represent about 150, 160 companies that are actually making things.
Sure.
And then there's another 40 or 50 organizations that we partner with that are in our supply chain, or they're our public partners. They're in education, workforce, or economic development.
And so you get the 8 of you get together, right?
Right.
And you form NOCO.
Right.
So but there's 2 primary committees, right? There's
right. Today we've got what we call manufacturing rocks, and that's with an exclamation mark.
I love that.
If you leave the exclamation mark out, people think you're making rocks. Right. So we started with that. That group was actually called Making Manufacturing Sexy at first, and then when we pitched that to the high schools, we found out that we
was not going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
So what that group focuses on is career awareness, career exploration, curriculum development. We have a speakers bureau that's part of that. We can go into subject matter experts into classrooms. We take the young people out of the classroom into the work environment. And then we work in that. My teaching with Front Range is a direct result of curriculum development that happened collaboratively between the local manufacturing industry and Front Range Community College. And then I go in and actually teach some of the classes that we co-created.
That's great.
The other vertical is manufacturing networks.
Okay.
And this is the marketing, connecting community side of the house. This is where our website's taking care of, our newsletter, our Lunch and Learn program, our B2B events. We do a really cool thing we call insight tours. We spell that S-I-T-E because we go to each other's sites to gain insight. And so this is an opportunity to go tour other people's shops and learn about best practices and share ideas. That's been really successful. Probably the marquee event that's come out of that, beyond our regular program of trying to get folks together every month or every other month, has been the trade show.
Yeah, NOCOM.
Right.
And this year it was huge. It was up at the fairgrounds, right?
Yeah. It's doubled in 4 years. It's doubled in size.
Fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's all the manufacturers and educators and community colleges and different groups that are coming that are servicing the manufacturing sector in some way. And I was so impressed. But the energy in the room of these various the various manufacturers working together and sharing ideas, was that difficult in the very beginning though? Because people are like, oh my God, my competitive secrets are going to go out there. I can't share this.
Well, that brings up a separate thing. So on the first, my response was terrifying. Was we'd all been to trade shows, but we didn't know how to do one. And we said, let's have a trade show. How hard can it be?
Oh, no.
So I chaired that very first year, and I remember being awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, that morning before the show was going to open, just praying somebody would show up. And when we opened the doors at 9 o'clock, we had people stacked up outside.
Nice.
And for the first hour, the hall was just packed, and I remember being so thankful. But knowing that we'd tapped into something. Here was a pent-up demand for this regional community to get together.
Yeah.
But to speak to the competitive thing.
Yes.
I can tell you when that first group was convened, and the conveners came from the public side. They were folks from education, workforce, economic development. They convened that first group of manufacturers. They had a significant concern that we were going to duke it out. They said, oh, these people have got to be super competitive. You know, they're fighting for their market position all the time. These are all going to be type A, go-getter people. Can we really safely put them in one small room together? And I've yet to see any head-to-head competition get in the way of anything that we're doing. I think everybody so quickly realized that we're so much stronger together. Oh, we bid against each other, compete against each other, you bet.
Certainly.
But there are bigger issues at stake. There's the health of manufacturing in our region, in our state, and in our nation. And everybody's been willing to put that first.
That's fantastic. So so back to when you founded it, you created these committees, and the number one focus, I think, was on workforce development, wasn't it? Because isn't that the number one issue that kept you up at night? I think
workforce really gelled us and gave us purpose in those early days. I want to be. I know you're using the imperial you. Yeah. There were a whole bunch of people. It wasn't me personally. I was part of a team of great folks, a dream team of great smart people. But certainly workforce was the very first thing everybody could grab onto. Yeah. Everybody could. That's something that everybody shares. Relate, right? And so that was our really first unifying force was, let's go do something about that. And everybody wanted to get into classrooms. Everybody wanted to talk to young people. And that helped immensely get us rolling. And actually then the second thing was we were all very, very curious about each other's operations. So the workforce thing is great, and then we came hard on that with, well, let's start exchanging shop tours.
Yeah.
And those two things really sustained that early energy and kept the organization together.
That's great. Have you seen any like partnerships that have innovative partnerships that have developed out of this collaborative? Can you share any stories?
I'd have to think about that, because one of the things we do, we get a number of grants every year to fund, and so we have to go back and survey our members, and oftentimes the metrics are new partnerships, new supply chain opportunities, new hiring opportunities, and we find a number of those. Certainly, we've been coaching each other. We've been in each other's shops, helping each other out with layout, with quality systems.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Adopting problem-solving techniques, and then I know that there are people that are now connected that weren't connected before with the supply chain in Colorado. I can tell you, just my small company, we now source almost 70% of our components in Colorado, and we've been able to bring all but 3 or 4 part numbers back to the United States.
That's amazing.
Through all of our networking and getting to know people. It's like, wow, I didn't even know you did that. You're right down the street. Wow. We just recently connected with a die caster in Denver, for example. I'm super excited about how it's going to change our product.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And it's local, and you can just go down and talk to them,
amazing.
right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Right? If you're going to be collaborative in product design, if you want short and secure and fast responding supply chains, it's all happening regionally.
It's amazing what can happen.
It is.
Yeah.
And even if you pay a 2 or 3% more up front, the total cost savings is amazing. The
total cost of ownership, and then the quality to the customer. I mean, it's been proven time and again. You know, there's calculators out there that actually taken into account for these type of factors. But you guys are actually doing it. People talk a lot about it, but they don't know the first thing about how do I get out there, where do I start, how do I start connecting to other people in order. You know, the concept, I think most people get the power of connecting and collaborating, right? But they don't know where to start.
They don't know where to start. You're so right. And that's, you know, we're giving them all these opportunities now. And I tell so many people that ask me, how do I get involved? I said, go to the website.
Yeah.
Go to the website. Go to the calendar of events. Show up for a few things. And it's free. It is, yes.
It
has been since the beginning. We're 5 years into this. We're still surviving. Nice. We're not collecting pennies on street corners yet, and we've never charged a single dollar of membership dues for anybody involved in our organization.
And that's tremendous. And you've got the website is NOCO, NOCOMFG.com, right?
Yep, that's right, NOCOMFG.com.
Yeah, highly encourage people to take a look at this, join, become a member, look at some of the resources. You've got a resource website there that's got all sorts of information about manufacturing stats, resources.
Right.
Yeah. I'm doing this from memory.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Doing pretty good.
You're doing great.
ISO, lean, great information. Then you have a whole list of other associations, so other
links to other organizations,
which is really, really helpful because again, people don't know where to go, where to start. And running a business, you know, I was in preparation for you coming on today, I was like, what were you thinking?
I get asked that question a lot. I'm anxious to hear what you're going to say next.
What were you thinking? You're running this business, right? And yeah, you've got a lot keeping you up at night.
Sure.
What in the world got you convinced to help start this nonprofit organization? This association. I mean, because that's a huge effort. Anybody that has served on a nonprofit board is right. It's a huge commitment, and yet you're trying to run your business.
Right.
So what were you thinking?
Yeah, what was I thinking? I hope my mom's listening because she'd love that question. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
I'm going to say two things about that. The first is more pragmatic. The first is I ran a trade association for almost 5 years.
Okay.
So I have some experience in that. So I kind of had a picture in my head of what it could be and what it could look like and how to structure it. So it was not that scary on that side. But that's not that. I sort of figured that out later. the thing that grabbed me at that very first meeting was the passion and the connection and the smart people in the room. And I love it. I'm naturally a collaborator. I love it when one idea builds on another idea, builds on another idea. And I got caught up in that. And one of the exercises we did after we put all our ideas on the wall was then to go up and put your name. Mm-hmm. And I was having a hard time not putting my name on everything. Like, this is so exciting.
We come back to this. Just say no.
Just
Paul.
say no, right? And for me, it was getting caught in the moment and getting caught up in the enthusiasm and the passion of the people around me, and recognizing we could be so great together. Mm-hmm. And then as that started to form, then I had that background to say governance could look like this, funding could look like that,
right. Mm-hmm.
committee structure could look like this. I kind of had a template.
Right.
So I was lucky in that regard.
That's cool. So how did you, what was the first connection, I guess, with education? Because there's always been, that's not a true statement. There's been like two worlds, right? We've got educators, four-year, universities and community colleges over here that are designing the curriculum, assuming they know what the skills are needed out here in manufacturing.
Right.
So how did you, what broke down some of those walls? I mean, was there something that helped?
Right away, two names pop into mind. Okay. The first is Lynn Vossler from Front Range Community College. Lynn has this amazing way to get people to sit in the back of the room and be quiet and feel privileged and involved at the same time.
She must be a great teacher.
And then she can get other people to sit in the front of the room and take ownership and leadership and participate. And so she was able to get industry to sit in the front and get the partners to sit in the back, and kept that going in a way that was positive and didn't isolate. It just made one group talk and lead and share, and the other group listen and process. And she was really, really good at that, and that helped.
Okay.
Because that got the educational community to go, well, let's hear what they have to say. Maybe we don't have it all figured out. Let's hear what they have to say. And then the second name that comes up right away is a guy named Dave Carlson at J&B Machine in Greeley. A little commercial for them. Great shop. Check it out.
J&B.
Dave jumped into that with both feet. Dave really found himself in the idea of deep diving skills, talent, curriculum development, and engage with the educators in the science of that, which is a little dry and doesn't necessarily appeal to everybody, but sat in endless hours of review and discussion and dialogue and development and what they call crosswalk exercises, and talking to people we thought were rock stars in the profession and what was their DNA and how did they get where they were. And Dave was really a champion on the manufacturing side to keep that activity alive and put some science behind all of the discussion.
Sure.
And get that help from the educators that Lynn Vossler was able to keep partnered with us in the room. So those two names come to mind immediately as starting to break down those barriers. Then I think the education community in particular took to it with amazing speed. I've yet to meet an educator that isn't genuinely interested in doing better for their students. They have a genuine passion. They genuinely want to do better. And if you say, hey, this might help you do better, they're instantly there, riveted, ready to participate.
Yeah. That's great. Lynn is great, and I have met Dave before, so yeah, good plugs.
I usually talk bad about Dave in public, so just one time I had to say something nice.
There you go.
I'm gonna send a recording of this.
Send it to Dave.
We'll see what collaboration.
He won't
takes
believe it's
place.
me.
He's gonna get you to sign up for another committee or another nonprofit. There you go. But on the whole workforce development, we're at, what is it, we're right at 2.3%, I think,
unemployment.
It's crazy. So trying to recruit, in manufacturing continues to grow, right? And it's getting incredibly difficult every single day trying to recruit people.
For everybody.
So how has NOCO and what you're doing, what the committees are doing and collaborating together, how is that changing in how you're recruiting, new talent?
Well, as an organization, we're really focused on career exploration and career awareness for young people. And so we've been doing the tours and things I talked about earlier. But it dawned on us a couple of years ago that mom and dad play a huge role in that decision-making process early on.
Major.
And we weren't engaging them. So with the help of Woodward and Fort Collins, we were able to get a program started up there. Jennifer Ray's been a real champion from Woodward for us. We got a Parents' Night program started up there. And we did that
at
Woodward 2 years ago to highlight manufacturing careers. And we get other manufacturers come and display. It's a mini trade show. We get the educators there, the community colleges, 4 years, the high schools will show up, the high school robotics teams come.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and we put this event together. And that first year, we were hopeful that if we could get 50 people, 50 parents show up, we thought we've really got something. And we had over 300.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And they did that again this year. And this year, it caught the attention of the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And the Wall Street Journal did a nice little blurb on this Parents' Night activity. So that's something we're going to be doing every year. So that's a big change.
That's huge.
Now, that's on the longer-term portion of the supply chain. That's the 4-6 year out help.
Right.
When we put classes together with Front Range, we put classes together, leadership classes in frontline supervision, critical thinking, problem solving, these kinds of things at the behest of the manufacturing industry. And I teach in all those programs. And I've yet to see anybody in the classroom with me that's not already currently employed. So what we're seeing is a big push from the industry to upskill. They're taking the incumbent workers and giving them a broader set of skills. And giving them, I shouldn't say broader, sometimes it's more focused set of skills, but they're giving them new skills so that they can be more competitive and more productive in the workplace. So I see us having a really cool 1-2 punch.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that I've seen and I've heard from you and the group is how you're changing and how you're defining jobs. You've gotten away from the standard old, right?
Right. No, trying not to use the credential as a proxy.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had a great example I've shared it several times with my engineering team. My director of engineering came to me and said, Paul, we need to hire a new mechanical engineer. I need an ME. I said, do you really? And I've been working with another group called Skillful. Check out skillful.com.
Oh, we love Skillful.
They're amazing people.
They are amazing.
I've been working with them for a few years. And I said to Gary, my director of engineering, I said, hey, go ask your team what skills your team needs to be more successful. This new person, what skills would they bring? And I said, give me a list of 5 to 9. Don't give me everything in the kitchen sink, and don't give me 3. Give me enough to be descriptive of the job. So Gary sat down with his team and did that. And I said, okay, now put up a posting. Go out to LinkedIn, Indeed, Craigslist, wherever you go. Put a posting up and focus on we need someone with these skills to come work in our engineering department, and let's see what shows up. We hired a certified diesel mechanic.
Fantastic.
Did a fabulous job, brought exactly the skill set we needed. And if you know anything about our product, aquahot.com, check it out. You'll find out that a certified diesel mechanic plugs right into what we do. And we wouldn't have gone there had we just thrown the proxy up of BSME and 3 to 5 years of equivalent experience.
Yeah, because we're thinking in that box, I just said, this is what I need. This is what I've always had in this position. And so, instead of breaking the mold, what is it that we need? And
you need skills.
Yeah, it's skill-based learning.
Quick plug, Harvard Business Review did a great story on this called Diminished by Degrees. It's a really great study, and they show that when you go out and hire men and women who have the specific skills you need in that job, you'll find them faster, you'll get much better value for your money, and they stick around longer.
Loyal.
Yeah, they will come and work in a job that they're skilled, that they're successful in, that they can do.
Absolutely.
So hire for skills.
That's right.
Absolutely. Don't focus on that 4-year degree.
That's right. That's right. We need them. We still need the 4 years.
Absolutely.
We do.
I want to make sure we give love to those folks too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not just those. We need to look more creatively. And this is back to your question about recruiting. We need to look more creatively at the workforce.
We do, and bringing those, the high schoolers in the internships
and apprenticeships, absolutely,
which is another part of what NOCO provides or guidance, right?
We scholarship and support those programs.
I have to tell you, yesterday we had Meredith Marshall from OEDIT, that's Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. She commended NOCO for your collaborative efforts.
Oh, that's good to hear.
You guys are becoming famous.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
To hear that show and this show, please check out cobrt.com/radio-podcast and be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page. We will be right back here on Connect and Collaborate. We're going to have Heidi Hostetter with us.
That's right.
And talking more
Heidi,
about NOCO.
Right.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks
it's been
for
a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Thanks,
It's been great.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and this is part 2 of our show with Kristen Muzzy. She is the founder of Riveting Connections and is a champion and advocate for manufacturing in Colorado and nationally. And Kristen leads the manufacturing vertical for the Colorado Business Roundtable, and she always brings us fascinating guests in manufacturing.
That's right.
So, Kristen, how are you?
I'm doing great. We've been having a great conversation.
Yes.
And super excited to have Heidi Hostetter, who is the Jill of all trades. I love that. I love your tagline.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And here you are, found you in the Colorado Biz, Northern Colorado Biz. And you are the woman of distinction for Northern Colorado.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me here. It's always so fun to be here with you guys.
It's great to have you.
Definitely.
So for our audience who doesn't know you, I'm going to go through a list of all the things that you're doing right now. So you're VP of Fauston Tool, right?
That's correct.
You're CEO of H2 Manufacturing Solutions, which is really exciting. You chair the NOCO, Northern Colorado Manufacturing Partnership. You were chair of NOCOM 2018. You are also the founder and chair of ADAPT, which is the Alliance for Development of Additive Processing Technologies.
It's a mouthful, huh?
It is.
Yes.
It is.
That's why they shortened it.
And you also do. You also chair some nonprofits. Is that right?
You know, I'm a donor for nonprofits.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with Child Safe up north for sexually
awesome.
abused children, things like
Yeah.
that. You got to give back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gotta get
Yeah.
back.
So how do you do all this?
Oh man, Jill of all trades, master
Right?
of none.
Yeah.
whatever is pressing that month or that moment is what I, completely focus on.
You have mastered multitasking.
I try.
You could write a book on multitasking.
Yeah.
Truly.
Well, I think any woman, and especially any mother, as you know, Kristin, in industry, that's what we do. That's how we survive.
You figure it out. When
You
people
do.
ask you, right, you figure it out.
It's hard to detail how you do it because you just do it.
That's right.
It just gets done. Yeah. Exactly.
So we had Paul Harter on.
Love that guy.
Right?
Yeah.
He's great. Both of you're a great team. And so we're talking about, we talked about NOCO, Northern Colorado Manufacturing Partnership, and the founding of it and how it's evolved. And you chaired NOCOM, which is the annual trade show.
Correct.
Right? And it had a record year. So,
Record-breaking year. We took it to an all-new level.
So how many attendees?
So we had roughly, it was between 900 to 1,000 attendees.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Which for, just doing local marketing, which has really been the focus and the emphasis, that's pretty amazing. We grew that, we grew the foot traffic by about 25 to 30%. We grew the revenue it generated by 30%.
That's amazing.
And we did the United thing. I mean, we overbooked on the booth. So we will address that next year.
Did you drag people out by their hair?
Oh, no.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
But I did try to get Paul to offer up some sort of money, like the airlines would do.
Yeah.
Like, $500
To
give up your booth.
Yeah.
That's
wouldn't go for it.
amazing. And you had a headliner this year.
We did. Jim Davidson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So there are a couple things we did differently with the show this year. And if I'm getting ahead, Kristin.
No, tell
reel
us.
me in. But, we looked at the kickoff breakfast and the B2B is kind of like your bookends, right?
Right.
Like, how do you drive people to get excited about those things? And then we're going to fill in the rest of the, the schedule from there.
Yeah.
Those two things worked out really well for us. Jim Davidson, who,
He's amazing.
He really was. And if you didn't see it, I would encourage you to see him at some point. He did a fabulous job really emphasizing that leadership, comes in your darkest hours, not your finest moments.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've all been there. 2008, the economic crash, which, many people downplayed. It's the worst economy hopefully we'll ever experience at our time.
Yeah.
He really, being on Mount Everest, also when his partner fell in the crevasse, like he's walking product of the very thing we asked him to speak to the manufacturer to get them excited about here are the tools and the other people in this industry that can help you in those moments.
Right.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then really just hyping up the B2B to say, hey, let's get together.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's collaborate. Let's talk. You got to see it. I mean,
it was absolutely packed, and the energy in the room to see manufacturers who normally wouldn't be talking together because they view each other as competition, whether it's for workforce or somewhere within the supply chain, right?
Yeah.
And here they are, they're collaborating, they're laughing, they're talking about next year, they're talking about new projects, they're asking questions about, how they're developing the workforce, how they're recruiting. It was truly phenomenal.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
The competitors were getting along. Everybody was psyched because at the end of the day, again, we started with that message of we've all been there, we've all done that.
Yeah.
Here we are. Let's come together to help each other out.
So did you meet your objectives for this year?
We did. We blew our objectives out of the water. I speak on behalf of the whole partnership and, of course, the NOCOM
You had a great
committee.
Team.
We had an incredible, and I think I told you this, Kristen, before the show. I think the biggest thing that we did differently was really looked at the committee that put this show together and said, let's make sure we have an A team.
Yeah.
We brought in solid graphics people, Jessica Cowden with Manufacturer's Edge. We brought in Katie Waslager from the Advanced Accelerator Program at OEdit. We got economic development people involved, predominantly North, because it is the NOCOM show.
Right.
Yeah.
But
most people don't realize how many manufacturers are in northern Colorado.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is that
crazy.
always blows people away. They're like, manufacturing in Colorado? I get asked that all the time.
It's so nuts.
When I travel. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From Highway 7 north and west, some east. East is growing. It's phenomenal.
Right.
You've got Ball Aerospace in that corridor. You've got Sierra Nevada. You've got
Cargill.
Custom Microwave. You've got Woodward, one of the $2 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is amazing. And again, most people don't realize that. Most people don't realize that we're a leader in aerospace.
Per capita, we are number one in the nation.
Number one, It's super exciting for us.
And it continues to grow. Yeah, continues to grow.
Totally.
So other highlights of the show were some of the breakouts, right? And I attended one that was really, really intriguing. It was the millennials.
Yeah.
So having the panel of millennials and just asking them, what is it that you want?
How fun! I'm sad I missed that.
How do we recruit you? How do we satisfy you? How do we, how do we take care of you and get you engaged in manufacturing? And it was really, really interesting. Some of the comments that they made, like what it really boiled down to is listen to me, respect me, right? Yeah. And give me room to be innovative and make a contribution. It wasn't about pay me more, give me the cushy office. It wasn't any of that, or the 4-day work week or the 4-hour work day. It was none of that. I was.
Me too. We operate that way at Fauston.
Yeah.
Nice. But it was really, really engaging, and the room was packed.
Yeah.
The room was packed because everybody wants to know, how do I talk to a millennial? How do I recruit a millennial?
Or just those misunderstandings. I think, the moderator for that panel, Christina Haxon, who also sits on the NOCOM subcommittee, the planning committee, she does a great job at kind of debunking some of the myths about who they are and how they show up in the world. Because
guess what? They're just like us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
we can learn a lot from them.
Absolutely,
we really could.
I would love to teach everyone. Yeah, the millennials, right? It's a different generation. There's a lot of us that have these degrees that don't mean anything. Yeah. Right? We all went for our bachelor's because it's what we were told to do. So a lot of people end up with psych degrees and doing manufacturing work, right?
Right.
Yeah,
because nobody told them they can make 6 figures in manufacturing.
Exactly. It was a dirty job. That's I still have that
dark,
connotation.
Dingy.
Yeah.
You're gonna come walking out with grease and a do-rag on your head.
Exactly.
My do-rag's in my back pocket. So
exactly.
And the black fingernails.
Yeah, exactly.
And, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so that's what we went after. You have to get the degree if you want the 6-figure salary, right? And that's simply not true. There's several ways to do it. And so I think the millennials are sad that we missed out on this new generation of workforce development, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Gen Z, go get it.
So hence the NOCO sector partnership and NOCOM. It's about coming together to say, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Exactly.
We'll help you, you help us. But we need to, knowledge is power.
Right.
In every scenario.
It truly is. And educating, the millennials and these other demographics about what manufacturing is today, and the vast opportunities within manufacturing. It's the whole supply chain, right?
It is. Yeah,
I remember one of my first jobs was working in a, it was ITT, and they made telephones, right?
Yeah.
The old handheld telephones with the screw thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you pull down the driver, and it was that whole assembly line thing. And I'm like, oh, I never want to do this. But then I went to college and got a degree, and then found myself in an accounting role in manufacturing. I fell in love with it because there's all the facets of the business, from accounting, sales and marketing, engineering, quality, supply chain, warehouse, shipping, receiving.
Every day is different.
Every day is different. And the people that you meet, and it's a family. It's so cool.
It is.
But most kids don't know. They don't know what it's like.
And I'm sure Paul touched on this yesterday, the NOCO Rocks Committee.
I love that.
That is what they do. They're out there to really help with that process. And one of the things that I think they do that it's incredible is the Parents' Night Out.
Yes.
Where this really starts with educating parents.
Yeah.
Right? That if you have a daughter or a son that is incredible in math and science, let's say, our tendency, the way it's, set up right now, curriculum-wise or otherwise, is to push them toward engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe they're not that kid.
Sure.
Maybe they want to do something hands-on. Maybe they want to, run $1 million piece of equipment and at the end of the day actually see what they made versus
something
make the prints to make it.
Right.
Yeah. Actually get in there. The kids that play with Legos and all the erector type sets. They don't do erector sets anymore, but those kind of links.
The connects.
The connects. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Those were my favorite when I was little, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wish I was more encouraged to follow down that path, but
but you weren't.
I wasn't.
You can.
Still trying.
There's a lot of jobs out there.
Yes.
There's a lot of jobs.
Colorado right now.
There's a lot of jobs out there right now.
Lots and lots.
Lots and lots of jobs out there.
Yeah.
So what were some of the highlights that you weren't expecting, or stories that you heard, as you walked around? Because you were busy. You were up and down.
Oh yeah, you were there, and thank you for coming.
Oh, it was
really
great.
So great to have you guys there. For me, there were a couple risks we took. We brought in a guy who was not related to the industry to kick it off. So, I was a little worried, like if he doesn't do the tie over, we're in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever ticked off manufacturers? It's not, especially 1,000 of them in one area.
Yeah.
This is not good for blondie hair. So hearing that people really actually were riveted by his talk and energized going into the show, and I think that's the energy that you speak of that many people talked about at this particular show. We had a really good energy and synergy.
There absolutely was. People were excited to be there. They were talking about next year. I saw so many groups coming together, whether it was academia, Office of Economic Development, working with, and there were entrepreneurs there, as well as long established businesses there, and just sharing ideas and coming together and collaborating and looking forward about, how can we get more involved? And, what's the next thing. So speaking of which, what is the vision for NOCOM 2019?
Yeah. Well, so we did that differently this year. We announced the day of the show, the next date.
April 11th, right?
You got it. April 11th. Wow. We've already started the registration link, which manufacturers, I'm here to tell you, we are already booking booths.
That's fantastic.
So we have every major sponsor we expect will sign up again.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. We heard great feedback from the sponsors.
Oh, good.
Great feedback. They were super happy.
Always awesome.
Yeah. So I think, we're still looking at what the themes will be and how the layout is, right? We're a year out, right?
Right.
But I think it's looking like we're going to go a supply chain direction.
Nice.
I will co-chair it this year, and the chair will be somebody Kristin. It's Adam Papillion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
great.
Speaking of millennials,
yes,
he is one.
He's a rock star.
He is a rock star. He has a lot of energy. He has
a
really great kind of business savvy about him.
Yeah.
And I think, my sage wisdom, because, I'm not a millennial, combined with his energy and the fact that he sat on the committee.
Yeah.
He's also the one that helped us make the connection to Jim Davidson.
Oh, fantastic.
Like, he was super strong on the committee this year, so it makes sense that he'll take it over. We're excited to make this the best show ever for him in Colorado.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening, it's NOCOM 2019, but the website is NOCOMFG.com.
Yep, and you'll see a 2019 tab on there. Yeah. Obviously that, the heart and soul of our NOCO sector partnership, as well as NOCOM, is Christine Juker. She's amazing. So if you can't track myself down, Adam down, Paul down, get her. She will set you up. But we're excited.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fantastic show.
Yeah. And I think I told you, we've gotten some national attention from the 2018 show. We have manufacturers currently calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like saying, "Hey, how can we get into the show? We heard about this show." So
that's props right there.
That's
right?
props.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was the goal. That was the goal of the partnership. That was the goal of the committee.
That's awesome. And one of the big differences I see with NOCO is that there's action. And Paul and I were talking about this yesterday, is it's not just people coming together to network, but it's actually coming together to connect and collaborate and to actually affect change.
Yeah.
So, what are the top issues? It's workforce development always, right?
Yep.
And you guys are doing just some amazing things that is attracting people from around the nation, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
and we're getting a lot of national attention. Wall Street Journal, Dateline, I'm sure, again, Paul touched on some of that, so I don't want to be duplicative, but
it's incredible. So can you share like one of your favorite success stories of NOCO? I know there's so many. What about Smuckers coming in?
Wow, Smuckers is a great story. I wish Jessica Erickson she's the CEO of the Longmont Economic Development. She also worked in the governor's office for a long time. But that's a great story because we highlighted that at the show. I'm sure you heard about that. And, that was everybody coming together, right? So you have your local municipality, which is Jessica Erickson. You have your city manager. You have Rich Warner up in northern Colorado there. You had the Office of Economic Development involved out of the business development section. You had utilities company, you name it. Like every package came together to create this incredible proposal for Smuckers. And I don't remember what the jobs draw was on that, but it was exceptional, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the better economic development stories in the nation.
Right.
Certainly probably the best and one of the best in Colorado.
And they're building out the plant now, right?
Yes,
the site now.
correct.
And it's it'll be live end of this year or the beginning of next year. I think something like that,
not sure.
It's a huge success story, and it really developed out of NOCO. Right?
It did, and just again, all of those players coming together.
Yeah,
we're really lucky up in the north. I mean, I don't know how economic development is such a thankless job.
It really is,
because someone who's, a Jessica Erickson who's phenomenal, she might not get the press coverage she deserves for pulling that deal together. But let me just assure you, we have many of her up there. We have Kelly Jones, we have Stacy Johnson, we have like these powerhouses up north who are willing to do what is best for the entire state, for their constituents, right?
Yeah.
And we don't hear often enough about that and those people,
how hard they work.
They work so hard,
right?
Right.
And they don't have the authority to pull all the plugs, but they're bringing the people together that do, and it's and you're right, they don't get the recognition.
City of
that
Fort
they
Collins, they are the fiduciary. Larimer County is the fiduciary for NOCO, and
Governor Hickenlooper did just proclaim it Economic Development Week, though.
Did he?
Yes.
This week?
This week.
This week, yeah. We featured economic development all week long. Yeah,
Did
we
you?
had
Cool.
OEDA, we had EDCC.
Who did you talk to from OEDA, or who were some of the?
Several different people. I had Meredith Marshall, and I also had let's see here, Luis Benitez, and Michelle Hadwiger.
Yep. Great crew.
Great crew. They were fantastic, and that was one of the things that they would say after every show. Is we're so good at advertising for others. That we forget to do it for ourselves. So we were so happy to be able to have them on and talk about exactly what they're doing in the community.
It's incredible. It is incredible. There is not one community that if they don't have a strong economic development arm, they're going to suffer.
They will.
Absolutely.
And so now you're starting to see, Greeley is getting attention. The NOCO partnership, specifically Paul Harter, has been working really hard with that community to say, how can we help you? We're here to help. We're not here to put the stake in the ground and say, this is the way to do it. We're here to say, how do you want to do it? And can we leverage anything we're doing? Right.
Right. I also love the story that you were sharing with me about how the manufacturers are coming together on workforce and the supply chain. Can you share some of that?
Totally.
This is very interesting.
So it's funny, right? So you've got small, medium, and large corpora, right? And we're in a situation where workforce there's a drought. There just is.
2.3% unemployment.
We're all fighting for the same thing.
Okay? Exactly.
And if I look at a Woodward, for example, right, who outsources to myself and others like me, a Fauston, right? They are also looking for the same guy or gal, the same machinist.
Right.
So their HR director and I had a very direct and candid conversation about, hey, let's start to do some things to think outside of the box, because you know what? You're drying up your supply chain. You may not think you are, but every time you hire a machinist away from me or from that pool, be really clear where, strategically what that does to you. Okay. So I think, and
connecting the dots, right, to open up for discussion, right?
Yeah, it's like we just have to work together. We have to quit coming at this for who has the best offer letter, who has the best benefits. Of course it's Woodward if you're looking at a little Fauston, right? But
there's benefits that the small has that the large one can't give.
And, so maybe they're underutilizing talent in their plant that I could be growing and utilizing.
Exactly.
Maybe we have someone that they wouldn't mind interning. There's things that aren't out there that we haven't thought about and we haven't talked about, but I could assure you that the NOCO team is fully on board with figuring these things out.
Which is lovely.
It truly is being innovative. It's exciting. It's really exciting to see what develops.
We can't rob Peter to pay Paul. It's going to catch us at some point. It just is. So
it reminds me of the .com days where, remember? Remember? Oh my gosh.
Go big or go bust.
Oh my gosh. You'd hire somebody and somebody down the street would pay them, a dollar more an hour or $50,000 more, and the job hopping
was crazy.
Just
happened in the hard drive in the 80s, Seagate, Max, but I think you have a lot of people who are coming together to try to do it different. Right? That's what I hope.
But that's what we're doing here in Colorado with NOCO, right?
But they are the national.
That's not happening everywhere.
They're the national standard right now, and we have the likes of Paul Harter on the CWDC now with
and the
Stephanie
likes of
Beck.
Heidi.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just here to support Paul.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. And, everyone is good at the connecting and the collaborating. I'm sure it's huge at NOCO for you. I'm sure you see that
that's
a lot.
the basis.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Heidi.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page.